All right, welcome back to the Grace Family Love Podcast. We're Joe and Vanessa back with you for episode number 42.
Yay!
Yes.
Hi guys, sorry we've been missing for a little bit. We've had life pop up, so we're back here and we missed you guys. We hope that you guys had a great week and you're having a good week, no matter what day you're listening to this. If it's morning or night, we just, we hope that it's a good day or that it was a good day. Today we want to just continue a little bit of what we were talking about the season of parenting. I know for the people that don't have kids are probably just like, man, can you guys change the subject? But I promise you, if you take notes, then, you'll appreciate it when you do have kids. So we want to kind of gear towards teens today. And the reason why is because, life is happening. Kids are going to go back to school soon. School is opening up little by little. And it's really interesting the way that the culture of teens are. It's always been, we go a little crazy when we're teenagers, but it's difficult. It's difficult to deal with everything that is going on with, teenagers. I was telling Joe that I've been watching this show that I don't recommend it for kids. It's not family oriented. However, it just brought to my attention how corrupt things are as the situation in high school. And a lot of the things we don't talk about it because it's kind of like taboo.
Yeah.
In that show, there is a lot of, sex, losing your virginity, and drugs, alcohol, suicide thoughts, taking medication. There is like self-afflicting kind of like either cutters or kids that burn themselves, not cutters anymore, but now they burn their skin to be able to feel something else. And you can say like, man, Vanessa, this is a little bit too much. And the crazy part about it is that all of this stuff is happening and it just gets worse and worse every year because of the society that we have. And if we don't talk to our kids about these things, or we kind of just allow them to be, to escape with their headphones, their hoodies, and them kind of when they withdraw in their rooms, then we're missing an opportunity to be their guide, to be there for them. There's a verse that says in Psalms 37:30, it says, "The godly offer good counsel. They teach right from wrong." So God gave us this right to be able to be there for them and guide them and help them. And if we don't take up on that, then we are missing an opportunity to guide our kids to have that future that's a good one, a positive one, versus one that's, less pain, less suffering, less loneliness. So we have an option, okay? And that's kind of like what we want to talk about today. There's this book that I've been reading that's called The X-Plan Parenthood. We'll put the link down below, but it kind of looks like this. And it's about this guy that he has teenagers and he just wanted to give them the opportunity to have a way out if they were ever in a situation where they were uncomfortable. And he created this plan which is called the X-Plan. And he said, okay, I'm going to text you an X. You're going to text me X if you're ever in a situation where you're uncomfortable and you don't want to kind of fall into peer pressure. Text me X. We'll have your brother, me, your mom, whoever it is, call you and say, hey, an emergency came up. We're picking you up in 5 minutes. So that way you turn around, you say, man, I don't know what happened. My parents are coming for me. I don't know. I got to go. That's it. You don't have to give any explanations to them. You don't have to even give explanations to us. We only want you to know that you kind of find your way into making these good decisions. And we want to be a part of that, and as crazy as it sounds, you would say like, well, why wouldn't you get on your kid because they're far? Yeah. Why wouldn't you get on your kid because there's alcohol, there's beer, there's drugs? Like, he can't control everybody else's way of being, but he can control himself. And this is what we want to teach them, that you have the ability to withdraw yourself. You have the ability to say no without somebody being on top of you and saying like, why did you even go there in the first place? You shouldn't even have been there. Like, we are gearing them to be these adults that are able to make these decisions, to be able to say no. Right now, maybe he can't even voice himself, but he will learn that. But right now, he learned that he doesn't want to be there, that he wants to withdraw, that he wants an escape. And that's okay. Everything else will, little by little, you're gaining their trust. Till one day he's going to give you the X, text you X. He's going to sit in the car. He or she's going to say, you know what, can we talk about this? I feel really uncomfortable. But because they already know that you formed a relationship with them and you're not judging them, that they can come to you and that they can have that support, that guidance, that grace, that love, and that they can trust you.
I think as a parent too, we just have it in us to try and get our kids to avoid harm. Even since they're babies, you hide things that they can choke on. You baby proof your house when they start crawling around. You make sure that there's nothing on the floor that they can easily grab. You make sure that there are no sharp edges or they don't play with knives. All those things we do to try and protect our children from hurting themselves or being put in a position where they can be harmed. So that seems to stick with us as they grow up. However, our means of protecting them, it kind of changes a little bit. And sometimes we get overly aggressive. And this is something that I think I saw in myself, that I put a barrier between the kids and I, because I thought if I just came in strong on something that I thought was important, that they would get the message like, okay, don't do that, because that could get us in really big trouble. But what started happening was I would just come in strong, and then it would kind of get them to react in a way that originally I thought was good. I was getting a response, which is what I wanted, but the response wasn't the one that I hoped for. Instead of it being, oh, that's really bad, Dad got really upset, we shouldn't do that, it turned into,
let me hide it better.
I'm just not going to tell Dad because he's going to get really mad. Yeah. And then if he gets really mad, then we're going to be in trouble. And if we're in trouble, we're going to have to wear this, like, the medallion of shame and guilt, and so they just got better at hiding things or tried to avoid me and go to Mom instead, and that's not what I wanted. And so instead of being a soundboard for them to share or talk about things that were hurting them or talk about emotions that were causing them grief or made them feel like they were burdened and heavy, they just don't share with me at all. And that's something that even to this day, I still have to work on, because our kids, they'll talk to me. We can laugh, we can joke, we can play, we can have a good time. But when it comes to like things that are really just troubling their heart, like weighing heavy on them, they usually just go to Mom. And I hear about it later and I'm like, oh, okay. And I don't get to participate in that. And so that's something that I would do differently had I had another opportunity to do it again. But I think that what matters is that we understand what kind of parenting style we have, to not necessarily try to conform our child to only the way we parent, but try to adapt our parenting to the way our child is, so that we can meet them in the middle somewhere. What I think happens is we take that, right? We're trying to protect them as children. We kind of get a little overly protective or overly aggressive as they grow up. And then pretty soon they're like rebellious. And it's not that they don't want to listen, because they do hear everything you say. It's just that maybe our style is unattractive and it repels them. If we're just always yelling, it's like they become experts at blocking us out. If we're overbearing, it's just like, okay, here we go again. Get it over with. Put on a show. Yeah, they say what we want them to say, and they're just kind of checked out and going through the motions so that we can just shut up. And then at the same time, we forget that this house, this home that we built for them is supposed to be, right, a place of peace, maybe a safe haven, but it's also learning grounds. This is where we teach them right and wrong, but there comes a time where we have to give them space to actually choose to do right and wrong. And if we teach them what's right and wrong and give them the space to choose, we actually get a chance to see what they'll choose before they're out to fend for themselves and we're not around to help. So it's our best bet to give them a little bit of room, allow them to make some decisions, right, that aren't too grave, and let them understand that there are consequences to their choices, good and bad. If they've chosen the wrong thing, do they know that we're going to be there to help them pick up the pieces? Are they sure that we are there to love and support them even when they don't do the right thing, even when they do make the wrong choice? And are we going to be loving in the process? That's also something that they need to learn. And sometimes they could only learn that by being given the space, choosing what's wrong, even though we hope they don't. But when they do choose what's wrong, how are we there to support them? Are we there? Do they know we're going to be there? Do they trust us to tell us that they've done something wrong? That's something that we'd have to ask ourselves.
Yeah, and you know, we were talking to you guys about last week about consequences, or I don't know what week it was, but when you're teaching them consequences in the beginning, like it works, because now when they're older, they're thinking about these things. So, you know, one of the things that in the show that I was watching, one of the girls in there, she is from a divorced family, and she was caught just burning the inside of her thighs. And I don't know about you guys, or if you guys have kids that are cutters, and if you don't know what that is, you're just like, what the heck is that? So cutters are kids that are really quiet. They're docile. You probably won't even really get much from them because they don't really say anything. So in the show, the girl, a boy's coming in her room and said, "Why are you doing that?" And she's like, "Because I don't have a voice. And it's the only way to drown out the fact that I don't have a voice. I feel something else other than like almost like the emptiness or like that helplessness." So I understand that because I used to be a cutter. I used to cut myself in order to not feel anything. And I was a teenager. And my parents were very, very like, "Vanessa, you better not have a boyfriend. You better not even think about having a boyfriend. You better not even think about love," like nothing. And that was my parents. I couldn't tell my mom, like, "Mom, I really have a crush on somebody," or "Mom, I really like somebody," or "Mom, I'm thinking of having sex," or "Mom, this guy wants to have sex with me. Like, you know, what should I do?" Like nothing, none of that. So I had to just fend for myself. I had to just figure things out on my own, or ask my friends that knew nothing. You know, so here I am. When I did do a mistake, I was the worst person. I wore medallions of shame. So because I wore all those medallions, they were too heavy on me. So I wanted to feel something else other than the heaviness. So I cut myself because it felt good. It felt like there was something that I could do, that I could control. So when your kids, if you're noticing, check on them. If they're those quiet kids that don't say anything, they're always wearing their sleeves and their sleeves are always like this, check on them. If they're always wearing like thick bracelets on their arms and you can't see, check on them. Check on them. Yeah. Because there's always an opportunity to just be there for them. You know, when my kids are quiet and they don't say much, I'm like, "Are you okay? How are you feeling? How's your heart doing? How's your mind doing?" So the moment I say that, it's different because I'm not just specifically saying like what happened. They say it doesn't feel good, or I don't know, something's up. So they're able to just know something's bothering me. They don't even know sometimes what's wrong. So I say, "Okay, what are you thinking about?" "Well, I don't know. Like, I don't really know." Say, "Okay, what was the last thing you were thinking about?" "Well, I was thinking about this." "Okay, why?" "I don't know, because of this." "How does that make you feel?" "Oh, I'm kind of frustrated." "Okay, why do you think it makes you frustrated?" "I don't know, maybe because of this." So if you notice, like, I'm helping them sort things out, kind of shuffle things, so they can kind of figure out, versus me saying, "Oh, it's because you're frustrated. Oh, it's because of this." I'm not putting words in their mouth. I'm just helping them. I'm just kind of guiding the conversation. So we need to make sure that we allow that for our kids to be able to talk about that. If you have girls, have you talked to them about having a boyfriend? Do they like somebody? If you say like, "Oh, no, my girls, no, they're never going to like somebody. They're never going to date till they're 30, till they're 18. Okay, okay, they're probably dating right now. You just don't know it. And the sad part about it is that they're not going to tell you. So they're going to have to go through these emotions without your help, without your guidance. Okay. And it goes with everything. It goes with drugs. It goes with alcohol, like all of that. You know, in the show, like everybody's drinking all the time in the parties. You're like, "No, that doesn't happen." Guys, do you remember when you were in 8th grade, 7th grade, high school? Like, there was alcohol always, everywhere. And you're probably like, dang, Vanessa, what kind of parties you went to? Like, was there alcohol in your parties or no?
Well, the thing is that it's everywhere, right? I think we're in a time right now where we don't even really need to question whether it's going to be there or not.
Yeah,
Honestly,
seriously, yeah.
We just need to do our best as parents to prepare our children for the real world.
Yes.
And I'm not talking about being a realist and giving too much detail, or also I'm not talking about being naive and saying, oh, well, they're going to figure that out when they get out of the house. That is not how we want to prepare our children. We want to be honest and upfront with our past and what we've been through, because that's going to really give them a perspective that says, oh, wow, my mom or dad went through something similar. So if they do go out, when they go hang out with a friend or they go spend the night at a friend's house, and it ends up that they are around people that you don't know and you can't control that.
Yep.
So what you can do is instill in your children right and wrong. And that way they have that inside of them to be able to use as a reference to make that decision on what am I going to do next? Am I going to succumb to the peer pressure? Am I going to say, no, this is not what I'm about. I don't want to participate. Are they going to call you because they know they can trust you with information? Or are they going to try to just suck it up because you're going to get mad and yell at them and get upset, and they may never be able to see their friend again. And it might be something out of their control.
Yeah.
So there's just so much that goes on. We would just be good and wise parents to not wait for something to come and then have to address it because we have to react. It's better if we just open those doors of communication to be able to have the conversations when emotions are low. We get to control the conversation because we are provoking it, right? We're not responding to a bad situation.
Yeah.
And then that way we can actually be loving. We can be compassionate. We could share our experiences. We can teach in right and wrong without all the emotions of a crazy situation. Yeah. And I really think that as parents, we don't do enough to let our kids know that we are actually there for them. I think we say it a lot. I'm telling you this because I want what's best for you. I'm only saying this for your own good, right? And a famous, this is going to hurt you more than it's going to hurt me. Like we say all this crazy stuff like that because deep down inside, we want what's best for our kids. However, I think it would be better spent if we would invest in actually having those conversations, even though it is work. And I think an easy parenting life would be to have a kid that never gets into trouble, right? That never does anything wrong.
The best.
That would be great, right? I think that's why we get so upset with our kids sometimes, because
we want the easy way.
we want them to not get into bad situations. We want them to not have to make hard choices and things to go right all the time. But that's just not reality.
Yeah.
And if our kids are going to be allowed to live, right, spend the night at a friend's house, have friends spend the night, when they go to school, they're around things that we just can't control. And if we want what's best for them, then we should arm them with the truth. Yes. We should arm them with the knowledge of consequences, good or bad. We should arm them with information, but also give them the tools to know how to get out of a situation. Yeah. That they can talk to you without being fearful of being judged or ridiculed or put down or being made to feel like they're less than nothing. Yeah. They need to have these people that are going to, I guess, vouch for them for better or worse. Yeah. And that needs to be us. We should be the first ones, not their best friend, right? We don't need to be their best friend. No. Okay. But we need to be parents that are loving, firm, compassionate, understanding, right? Committed to their well-being. Yeah. And that means even when times are tough, we are still loving. You can be loving and firm. And remember, the Bible teaches that love and correction go hand in hand. Yeah. It is possible. It just takes work. And that's the hard part, is putting in the work. And if a bad situation does happen, to get your emotions to come down so that you can allow the love to push through, all the the frustration and maybe even the anger that you feel.
Yeah, and the crazy part about it is that this information that we're telling you, it goes, if you practice this now with your younger kids, you have no idea what can happen. And even just in the little kids, their mind is going crazy. So imagine in the older kids, and here is an example. Last night, I was talking to Lily. And she was upset because I've been correcting her lately. She's getting older. So with her, she has like a very sassy side to her. And a lot of the times people can say like, oh, that's so cute. That's funny. She's being sassy. And no, there's nothing cute about being sassy at 7 or 8. There's nothing cute about that. Like that, I like nip it in the butt, like bud. So yesterday she's told me like, Mom, I just feel, what did she say? Like, nobody likes me. Oh, she said, yeah, I feel like nobody likes me. And she was crying. And I said, why do you say that? And she's like, because you keep telling me that I'm doing things wrong. And you just keep, telling me stuff. And I said, look, love, like, I love you and everybody loves you. And I go, however, if I didn't love you, I wouldn't correct you. I would just let you do whatever you want to do. And I go, but becoming this type of person, then a lot of people are kind of gonna, they're not going to be able to just still be loving when you're not being kind or not being nice. We will always accept you. We're your parents, but like, I need to teach you these things, because I love you, because I care about you. Yeah. You're an amazing kid. You're a loving kid. You're kind, you have all of these great qualities. And I go, so when there's something that you do that's not right, I go, I have to teach you that that's wrong. And I have to teach you how to do it right. And I go, and that's it. It's not because I don't love you. It's not because I don't like you or you're a bad kid. Like, just, we talked about it. So I gave her a hug. We talked for a long time. But in my mind, as she gave me those words, like, it just dawned on me that, like, she could have just thought those things and not said anything to me.
Yeah.
And if I wouldn't have sat there and talked to her till that came out, because I was like 20 minutes into the conversation, and then that's when she said that. So our kids are always thinking these things and they don't tell us. They don't tell us because we're not sitting there having a 20-minute conversation teaching them that we're there for them. So they don't feel vulnerable enough to say, I can tell you my true feelings. So then they just stay quiet and then they just get sad or they just get depressed or they just get angry. And then you have the teacher saying like, hey, I don't know what's wrong with your kid. They're lashing out. They're doing this because there's things that they're not telling you. By you allowing yourself to be there for them and creating this relationship with them, you allow the ability for them to be able to be honest with you, to share how they're feeling, for them to be able to say like, Mom, I feel this way, or Dad, I feel this way, and you not take it personal. And you not say like, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not that kind of a person. Like, no, just listen to what they're saying. Hear what they're trying to tell you, what their heart feels or what their mind feels. And it might be crazy. It might be absurd. But you know what? Like, that's their emotions. That's their feelings. So you can kind of just help and guide them through those emotions. And if they say, I feel like you don't love me, then just hear them out. Just hear them out and say, you know what? I'm sorry you feel that way. How can I show you that I do love you? Tell me, like, what can I do? And if they say, well, maybe you can just not yell at me like this anymore. All right. If that will help, then let's work on that. Okay? Because has to be something connected to the way that they're feeling. Okay? So just this week, guys, focus. Pay really close attention to your teenagers. Even though they're teenagers and they act like they don't need your help, they actually need your help more than the younger ones.
Yeah. Because
they're in actually like adult situations now. And the world is getting closer where they have to be on their own. So if you're not giving them all these tools in order for them to deal with all of these things happening, then they're on their own. And I'm talking about sex. I'm talking about peer pressure. I'm talking about drugs. I'm talking about pornography. I'm talking about, sleeping around, like all of these things. And you're just like, man, Vanessa, this is too much. Like, stop. My poor kid, he's innocent. No, they're not innocent. They do things behind your back. They have a TikTok. They have Instagram. They have Messenger. They have Facebook. Then you need to be talking to your kids about this stuff because it's everywhere, like everywhere.
Yeah, and I think too that, we don't want to be naive either as parents. And sometimes there are situations that you just can't control. And even if your child is timid, or if your child is somewhat reserved or kind of keeps to themselves, that doesn't mean that somebody that's the complete opposite isn't going to come up and try to influence them just because they can.
Yep.
And that's something that, like I said, we just can't control everything.
Yeah.
But what we can do, what we can control, is how well we engage our children, how well we instill truth and right and wrong and consequences, good or bad, how well we instill and let them know that not only are they loved, but they have a place that they can turn to and people that they can turn to when things don't go quite right, or when things don't go as expected. And when they're in situations where, in spite of their best intentions, things go wrong, they have a place that they can run to and they'll be kept safe and cared for. And I think that's what we also would want to do as parents, is be that place for them and be those people that they can turn to talk about the hard stuff, to share about the deep hurting, to share about, even if it's lighthearted, in funny situations, and just have that dialogue where they can have somebody that will understand them on a different level. Yeah. And that in and of itself is another way to teach them what real love is. It doesn't have to be physical. It doesn't have to be a party with alcohol or anything extra to make them feel, inebriated or on a different planet or whatever. They can actually have people that are interested in who they genuinely are. Yeah.
But that's it, guys. We love you guys, and, anything that has to do with you guys, whether it's your family, your kids, we are here.
That's right.
We're here for you guys. And, I know that this is always like a touchy subject because it's things that we don't really want to talk about or hear, but it's important. And we would not be your friends if we didn't bring it up or if we didn't talk about it, because that means that we care about your kids. That means that we're pushing you to be there for them. We're pushing you to talk to them. We're pushing you to think about them in different ways other than just, oh my God, they're being teenagers with their stinky room and they're, they don't take showers and their irritating attitudes. Like, no, it's more than that.
Yeah.
It's deep, deep down inside, and they need to be able to have a voice. But we want you to know that you have the ability to hear them and let them know that you hear them.
That's right.
Okay. So we love you guys. That's it.
Pray?
Yes. Me?
Yep.
Okay. God, we just thank you for just this opportunity to be here. We thank you for the listeners on the other end. If they lasted this long, please bless them, Jesus, because this was a long one. I ask that you just be with them today, tomorrow, and the next day. And I ask that you just help them to figure out, Lord, where they're at in their parenting ways. I ask you that you just help them to identify, Lord, their children and what they need and what they desire deep down in their heart. I ask that you just give them the guidance that they need to be able to parent the way that their kids need individually. Give them love, give them grace, give them the patience that they need to be able to be there for them the way that their kids need. In the name of Jesus, bless the families. Amen.
Amen. All right, guys. See you next time.
Bye, guys.